My name is Matthew McVeigh. I am the Sustainability Engagement Officer here at Recora, and this is Marcelo. He'll have a full-on introduction later on. However, we're here to talk about World Environment Day. So World Environment Day, just for the agenda of what we're going to talk about, we have World Environment Day as a whole, and then we'll look at why innovation fails, what Recora can do, ways to move forward, and then there'll be a Q&A section at the end where you can ask any questions to Marcelo about what he does, about today's topics, and we'll go through them also. So, World Environment Day. So the date of World Environment Day is the 5th of June. We have pushed it slightly further back for this webinar, just to see what the outcome was of the last few weeks, but also because we spaced out from our other webinar too that we had at the end of last month. But the date is on the 1973 was when it started, on the 5th of June as part of the United Nations. And then since then, every year they use a different host country or city just to talk about and encourage awareness and action to protect our environment. And they focus on topics such as marine pollution, overpopulation, global warming, sustainable development and wildlife. And the topic for this year, the theme was plastic pollution. We have decided that we're going to talk about that next month with our usual, basically next month is Plastic Free July. So we'll do a full webinar on Plastic Free July, and this month we'll just talk about World Environment Day as a whole. So firstly, why do we recycle? And this is important for us because obviously we deal with recycling a lot. So this is the main way in which we can help the environment, but it helps to reduce waste. It takes 500 years for plastic to fully decompose. You can conserve resources. So all the food waste in the UK, if it was sent to anaerobic digestion instead of general waste, it would power 950,000 homes, which is perfect. So yeah, we would love if you have a food bin in your office, at your home, just to try where possible to make sure that you're reserving that properly. Saves energy, so it can take the same amount of energy to make one new can as it would to recycle 20. So we want to try and recycle as much as possible all of our cans, plastics, and paper. Protect the environment, and then finally there is a legal obligation to do that too. So if you don't do it, you'll be fined. So yeah, we're trying our best here, and we hope that you are too. I have one little quiz for you. So before I pass over, I'd love if you could pop in the chat the letters A, B, C, and D, and let me know which of the 4 materials up top corresponds to the lifespan of the bottom 4. So which years match each item? And if you want to pop in the chat what your thoughts are, do let me know. And then I'll give you the answers on the next page. So I've got a D, 30, coffee cup, 30 years. A is 450. And saying 100 years for C, so that is plastic straws for 100 years. Anyone else? Feel free, I'll give you the answers now. Oh, it's got 100 versus 200 years. Okay, here are the answers. So a plastic bottle is 450 years, wet wipes is 100 years, plastic straws 200, and a coffee cup is 30 years. So that's their kind of lifespan. That's how long it takes them to decompose, shall we say. So we want to try and recycle all these where possible to stop things being left kind of to rot. Now, that's just a little bit of fun to get us started, but I'm going to pass you now over to Marcelo. He's going to tell you a little bit more about what he does and then continue the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I know it's early in the morning, and the whole point of this presentation is to have an open conversation with you. You work, you know who we are, you know what we can do. Myself as well has been quite a journey since I as a trained architect, and then I become a product manager and area of innovation management as well for big organizations. And over the last couple of years, I decided that I want to move into ethical kind of businesses. And I saw this opportunity of coming to Recora, and I took it straight away because actually this industry will experience a lot of changes in the next couple of years, not because of only the political aspects of it, but also the economical and the social aspects as well, plus obviously the environmental. So I think it's an exciting area to be. And I know that you are doing a lot for getting this, the best out of this. In general terms, this is my profile, so you can feel free to contact me anytime you want. As Matthew said, I am a product and innovation manager here at Recora. And at the same time, I've been as well consultants for other organizations for like Imperial Hotels. I create my own consultancy firm. I am an MBA candidate from Holt International Business School, and I have also a master's degree. So I've been experienced a lot of things in my life, and this idea of kind of the resilience and the way in which I really want to go and being sitting with you is a privilege. So I hope we can take the most of this opportunity together. In general terms, we need to understand, first of all, innovation was a kind of a key word during the 2000s, 2010, until even 2020. And then all of a sudden, the idea of innovation changed into sustainability. But again, it's a very valid question to ask, not only here, but also in your organizations, why innovation fails most of the cases. And there is not a straight answer for that. But in reality, innovation has different ways of failing. And these are the kind of the key ones, to be honest. And it's because sometimes there is a lack of a structure. There is no an area who can take this innovation seriously and has the resources to do that. Then there is a lack of mentoring. I mean, there are not many people versed on innovation, and obviously makes that everybody understand their own meaning of innovation on operations, on services, on products, on business models. So the lack of mentoring also doesn't help organizations to develop innovation, because there is no mentoring and there is no somebody who can help teams to develop. A third reason why innovation fails is basically because we lack of experimentation. We really want to get the first done right. And obviously innovation can build on top of that. The perfect example for that is, as you can see, SpaceX, where they simply just launch things to crash stuff, and they learn from that. That experimentation is key for them to improve exponentially the next version of that solution. So this lack of experimentation also make complications in the process. A fourth element is because we don't have internal support in our organizations. The organizations are basically based to do one or two or three things very good. So when they come, yeah, but we need to be also innovators. The company said, yeah, but that's not very profitable. No, that takes a lot of time and resources. Keep it for later. And that lack of support in every structure, in every company structure, makes a boundary, and that people just getting frustrated by over the time by not having the support of the bosses. And finally, this is very interesting because I've been working with several startups, and the most common problem that every business has is basically finding a way to scale up, and innovation is not far away from that. So if you really want to learn how this solution that you're creating will impact, I don't know, 1,000 persons, is completely different than how much will do if it impacts 1 million people. So this kind of lack of training in terms of how scaling up initiatives makes us well that all the initiatives that we put on forward don't tend to succeed. So in reality, what we do at Recora, we try to help organizations like yours to promote services or products that are requested or are necessary. And especially, as Matthew said, key challenges are necessary all the time, like, I don't know, plastics, how we're going to deal with plastics, how we can become zero plastic waste in the next 5 years. I mean, having those things help us to set up the roadmap for that. But in general, what we do on the innovation area is we help organizations to identify sources of value. So we don't reinvent the wheel in terms of patents or disruptive technologies. We just try to use whatever is available over there. We help organizations to evaluate, to kind of understand how this new business model or business case will work and try to test that. We question organizations from global challenges, as Matthew said. How are we going to deal with marine pollution? How are we going to deal with overpopulation? How are we going to deal with plastic? That sort of global challenges and the impact that it will have in your companies or enterprises is really important, and that's why we have it there. Then we help organizations to manage because they don't know how to deal with these strange projects, how to evaluate, how much return should we expect from that. So creating these portfolios in different time frame scenarios is really important, and we also help to do that. We simplify. We try to take all the noise around projects, and we try to go to the bare minimum in order to understand the impact of the project and how that project will impact the organization. And finally, we have a bunch of very good friends around the world where we can collaborate with them in different ecosystems. So if you want to scale up, it's really important to have that. And that's also part of what we're doing. Now, for today's session, as Matthew said, I just want you to simply go through these slides as a kind of excuse for you to start creating this mindset of innovation, particularly because we, as a company, we are a backbone of what you do. So imagine this situation. How are we going to deal with waste management in our buildings in 2050? How we can, what needs to be there? What needs to be implemented? Are we doing things correctly? Are we using the right standards? All those sort of things are really important if you really want to put in the situation of creating something new or develop something new based on a key question like this. So keep that in mind because we will come back to that later on. In general, and especially for the world point of view, we need to have a clear understanding of what we can do and what is available to do. And in order to pass from this diagram that you can see on the left, where we just refill at buildings, we return from buildings, we return on the go, or we refill on the go. If we really want to reuse and we want to reduce, so we need to find different ways of thinking this. And the best approach that we can do as a company as well is trying to take care of as much as possible from this life cycle, and in terms of help organizations to reduce packaging by creating intelligent packaging that there is no single use, but it's a circular model kind of use. Again, maybe by having furniture and how we can asset management those items in order to assess the life cycle of those materials in time, in order, again, not to end up in a landfill. How we can create refills on the go. We have a lot of infrastructure, but maybe you need to refill in a different way, in a different scale. So how we can help that. So all those questions is put yourself in this situation. If you want to reprocess, if you want to reduce, if you want to repurposing, recycle, or whatever the term you want to do in your organization, question yourself how you can do that, how you can move from one place to the other. And ideally, that's what we are here for. So our vision in terms of is we want to create a waste-free future. We don't want to just simply deal with waste. We just want to manage your capacities and create the real metrics in order to provide a comprehensive impact or a comprehensive report that you can understand. We can align to what you're doing. So if we want to become a waste prevention entity by using our networks or our repurpose elements, the question is how we can do that together, how we can do it from your point of view as a customer and from our point of view as a service. So you can pick any of these categories: redesign, reduce, rethink, repair, reuse to apply this methodology in a kind of a circular way. That's the only way we can just make an impact, a meaningful impact in organizations, and hopefully make an important impact on the world. Basically, and also on the World Environmental Day is a perfect excuse to do that. So that is more or less what I really have to present to you. I really want to have a discussion with you, maybe how this resonates with your organizations. How do you see this? Is possible or it's not possible? How you can challenge ourselves to our company to provide the service that you require, the products that you require, and so far and so forth. We are trying to do our best with trying to rethink the way in which we are doing stuff. So, for instance, we are trying to partnering with third parties to recycle furniture. We are partnering with third parties to also recycle or reuse clothing, and so far and so forth. So those elements are there, are available for you all to use, and hopefully this is the perfect excuse to do it. So thank you very, very much for your time, and I really want you answering your questions. Somebody asked here about standards. Is a standard a good thing or a bad thing for innovation? Well, it's a very good question. I think in the end, standardization is a good thing for innovation. Why? Because it sets up a target. In most of the cases, if you don't have a target, it's really hard to evaluate the impact of your solutions. So by having an external standard becomes a fantastic space to work with. So you set up the standard right, you define your baseline, and the gap that you create in the process is the possibility to improve through projects, through initiatives, through innovation, for instance. So I would say that that is a good point for starting the conversation. I mean, do you see any standards at the moment that are dealing with the environment in your business, in your industry? Yeah, they will see here that there are some, there are local standards and are also global standards. And that is really important because, again, as I said to you at the very beginning, the scale of that becomes relevant, and that also define what metrics are you going to apply. I mean, as I said to you before, it's difficult to do a project for 100 people, for 1,000 people, 100,000 people, and 1 million people. So, that is the approach I will do.
So Penny says, I manage a venue and my main issue is educating the public who, once out of the home, don't seem to care or want to take the time to consider waste. Similarly, trying to educate event organizers in terms of trying to create zero waste events. Yes, we see this a lot, especially since COVID and kind of people coming back to the office. When working at home and when living within your home, I feel like people recycle quite well in their space, but that responsibility is taken away whenever they tend to go into an office space. On my side, what we try to do is we try and gamify the bins. So if you have bins with different shapes, so that paper only fits in one certain bin, cans have got circular holes. That really helps to kind of make people stop and think. We'd also suggest using specific signage, which is really clear. So yeah, having signage that's like really bold with like specific colors for each bin that's consistent throughout the whole office space definitely will help to create a sort of simple approach throughout the whole office space or the whole venue.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I would take as well that question, and I said, try to make as relevant as possible what you're doing. Try to create this sense of urgency, and basically not shock customers, but simply tell them the impact of what they're doing, and why it's meaningful to do that. So in some cases, We are analyzing, for instance, reverse vending machines and why they haven't been fully developed. And there is a complicated element of culture that you need to be aware of that. So if you put outside the impact of what your small action can have on the environment, it's huge, the relevance and the transformation that it gets. But it's something that people needs to feel that are part of something important and there's something global to make a decisive action on that. One of those examples I can give you was from organizations who were trying to do life support for small, just newborn babies in Africa. Everyone wants to be part of that because it was so moving and so compelling, the story, that they want to help and they want to support that initiative. And I think that's the best way to move forward.
Yeah. Jackie said, I have recycling points in staff areas that pinning down. Yeah, well, we are able to help. So if you deal with us, we definitely can help you with that. One thing I will say is if you're ever at home or you're out and about and struggling to know whether something is recyclable, you can use websites such as letsrecycle.com, where you can type in some information and find out you can find out what bin it should be going into. So that might be some help for the time being. But if you want our signage, we can send that over. It has all of the logos and sort of information about what can and can't go into each bin. Nikki's saying, have you had any progress on recycling hairnets or beard snoods from factories?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, there is a lot of things we can do with fiber. We are exploring some possibilities of to deal with those things in terms of kind of stuffing material for walls or for different kind of furniture. So again, that is just starting. But again, organic waste tends to become a little bit trickier. I'm not saying they cannot do, but it has to create a different value chain in order to deliver that.
Do you think setting up a green team in the office, green champions, is the best way to encourage conscious recycling behaviour, or should it be something that everyone has to be involved in throughout compulsory training? I personally love a green team. I think if you're an office space that has multiple floors, making sure that you have 1 or 2 people per floor is a really good way of calling people out on what is in the wrong bin. Obviously, it depends on the culture and the kind of atmosphere of your office space. But I think if you get someone who is passionate about what they do, but also is a very eager and able to talk to people about what goes in the right bin, it is a good way to kind of stop recycling problems and habits. Yeah, I do think at the same time though, if you have the ability to do some form of training when people join a company, it definitely helps. I know that when I joined Recora, I was petrified to put things in the wrong bin when I first moved here. But I think it's really important to have that form of training when you first join somewhere, just to make sure you're popping things in the right bin.
But I want to take the point that Matthew is telling and also reinforce the idea of any initiative like is different or is not on the core business of any organization has to go 2 ways. One is from top to bottom and the other one is from bottom to top. So my suggestion to you, Lauren, is trying to engage the CEO of the organization and tell them that you are thinking of doing this and the impacts of that, the benefits for the company will be not only going into returns, direct returns or economical returns, but also in social and environmental returns. So in that sense, you create this virtuous kind of cycle of the top head of the organization is going down promoting this stuff and people will see that it's relevant for them and they will engage further. So we have some experiences with that. We can help with training and education, and that is what we're doing regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, Jackie, on terms of obviously, we every kind of company will have different rules of what can and can't go in each bin. But if you are needing information and you're not receiving it from the right people, feel free to give us a message. We might be able to kind of advise further. because most follow the same rules. So we should be able to help you with that one. Yeah, no worries, Laurie.
Yeah, but just also to reinforce the message that Matthew is giving, if you need particularly help and support to convince your director, your CEO, or the person in charge of this, we also we can go there and help you to set up workshops to makes this topic more sensitive to them. We have also the possibility of creating different scenarios and work on different scenarios. So what happens if the oil price goes 10 times higher? How that will impact your organization in order to create this sense of urgency and necessity to mobilize. So we also do that, and we are free as well to share that knowledge with you. So I assume that whatever you need, that's what we're here for in reality.
Definitely. Thank you, Marcel, for being here, for answering all the questions.
No, but thank you.
And thanks a lot, guys. Perfect. There we go. Take care, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely day.
Take care, guys. Thank you.